This weekend marks the opening of the 2010 NFL regular season. More importantly, the opening of the Cardinals 2010 season. I'm a Cardinals fan. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. But I wasn't always that way. Growing up, I was never a sports fan at all. No sports, right? I watched when the Suns made it to the finals against the Bulls back in '93, maybe. I remember when the Diamondbacks made it to the World Series. And I've watched, I don't know, a dozen or so Super Bowls over the last so many years. But that's about it. It was really, that's the extent of my sports history, if you will. I'd watch whatever football game was on national television, the 1, 2, or 3 games that were on. My dad would turn it on, and that was it. That was the extent of it. Never owned any kind of football memorabilia, clothing. I'd wear my dad's hat from time to time, but that was it. Over the last 10 years, being around Jack, my brother-in-law, who is a hardcore through-and-through football fan, it starts to rub off on you. We'd watch 2 or 3 football games every week. He'd talk about it all the time. He'd ask me questions about the Cardinals or about some famous player, and I'd be like, I have no idea what you're talking about, and he'd inform me. So naturally, I start to pick up things here and there, and we're watching more and more football games. And about 4 years ago, I watched just about every Cardinals game. 3 years ago, I watched every Cardinals game. I started learning some of the starters and who was on our team. I learned more about the sport, so I understood what this was and and all that shit. 2 years ago was the first time I was actually looking forward to the season. I knew our schedule and who we were playing. I knew who our starters were. The important. Well, I shouldn't say important. I knew most of the starters. I bought my first jersey. I bought my first hat. I was becoming a Cardinals fan. It just so happened to be the same year that we went to the Super Bowl, so it was a hell of a year to be that into it. And I naturally am called a bandwagon fan for it. But I made my decision way before I knew how good we were. I had all that shit ready before the season even began. So I know the truth. Anyways, the new season's about to start. I went to the 2 preseason games here in Glendale, and there's something different when you have a team, right? There's a sense of pride and ownership of a team that you call your own, especially if it's your hometown, right? Now of course, there's ties with maybe your parents have always been fans of this one team, so you become a fan of this team. But I think it means even more when it's a hometown team. Granted, the Cardinals haven't been here their entire existence, but that doesn't matter. They're our team now, and I grew up knowing the Cardinals were our team. Being at the preseason games and rooting for the Cardinals, when it's your team, it means more when they win. It means more when they lose. It means more when decisions are made, right? We dropped Matt Leinart for this year. It was a big deal. I actually was listening to sports talk radio, and I was reading the news, and I wanted to know what was going on when that decision was being made. It's a whole new animal that I'm becoming accustomed to. So I'm looking forward to the season. I'm looking forward to some trash talking, and go Cardinals.